If I were Pete and I want to continue down this path as being one of the greatest Mets ever and be legitimately, out there in front on a team that has a chance to win, then I would say this is the place to do it. And ultimately, I think you'll come around to that. But I legitimately thought that we would see something over the weekend, and I still think it's going to happen. Just now a matter of days before it does, I guess.
Boy, that Boomer Esiason, he really stinks at radio.
Well, I think that's the exact opposite. I mean, you know what's funny to me too is
It is the exact opposite because it created content for the entire station all day long, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, of course. So this is what my point was going to be is, the afternoon guys are having fun and they're doing their thing and they're hanging an L on a cardboard cutout of you. I'm like, well, what else were you guys going to talk about if Boomer didn't put that out there? I mean, you can put an L around his neck all you want, but he gave you 4 hours of content on your show.
Yes, well.
And why does everybody want to see, the anger level in something like this to me is crazy. Like, people get so mad about it. And it's like, never did you say, guarantee that it's going to happen or anything like that. It's guaranteed. Mark it down 100%.
Well, I think what happens is that, it's like us talking about things that may happen with one of these teams around here. We take a situation that the team seems to have corralled, and then all of a sudden we throw our input into it, our opinions into it, and then it starts festering and it gets blown out of proportion, and then one thing leads to another. And social media is it's a pit of snakes and vipers and swampiness, and you know what it is. So I don't really, honestly, I don't really care at all. I mean, I gave out an opinion which I thought, and I still believe strongly to this day, that Pete Alonso will be the first baseman of the Mets. I still believe that. I'm not coming off of that at all. I think it will happen before the season starts, before pitchers and catchers start. And if people want to hang on to every refresh, fine, go ahead and do that. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
By the way, there were a couple other trades that were made. One impacts me directly, and that's JT Miller back to the New York Rangers, and it's already paid dividends. I've already seen that. I'm pretty happy about that. And then, of course, we had the Luka Doncic trade for Davis.
Anthony Davis
of the Lakers, which was came out of nowhere. You talk about things that are coming out of nowhere. The JT Miller thing had been percolating for about 2 to 3 weeks, and we were all wondering what we were going to have to give up to get him. But this thing between the Mavericks and the Lakers shocked everybody because nobody had any idea that the Mavericks were getting tired of Luka Doncic's BS.
Yeah, and I know that the finals last year, he was getting torched with the lack of defense and the complaining about the refs and whatever, but he still got that team to the finals, and people had talked about his weight a little bit, but the fact that he got traded at 25 years old for what he got traded for, of course everybody was shocked, and there's really no other opinion you can have on it because it's unprecedented. I mean, it really is unprecedented.
Well, the last guy to get traded like this was Anthony Davis, but he wanted out of New Orleans.
Right. And maybe, in Nico Harrison, the GM there, who now everybody knows his name. No one really was talking about Nico Harrison until this weekend. But, he had made some comments saying that we weren't so sure if he was going to want to stay here and sign the Supermax, and they got ahead of it. But, I mean, the most egregious thing is, when you have a superstar like this that you're trading, I mean, you can't have some underground thing going on where he ends up with the Lakers, because that to me looks like this thing had been planned by everybody, including the highest level of the NBA, because the Lakers always get another player. Every time that they're about to go through a stretch where you're like, okay, how much can LeBron play at a high level at 40, 41 years old? And now all of a sudden they get the 25-year-old superstar. Shaq goes there, and Kareem goes there, and Wilt goes there. And it just never ends. Anthony Davis goes there. Now Luka goes there. It never ends with the Lakers. They always get a guy.
But here's the thing that I would say in regards to Luka and his financial situation. Harrison could say all he wants. I don't think he would stay here. They were the only team that could give him a
Supermax
$345 million contract in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
All right. So no state taxes. So they had he would have every financial reason to stay there. You could say whatever you want. He I think, again, remember I was telling you about, we were talking about Mekhi Becton when Mekhi Becton first got here with the injuries and not taking care of himself and not eating right and having to grow up. This guy's 25 years old. He's already been an all-pro. He's already been an MVP candidate. He's already been, rookie of the year. He's had everything. I'm just saying from an internal standpoint from the Mavericks, looking at him, watching him put on weight, not take care of himself, probably drinks a little bit too much for their liking. Maybe they know more things about him internally than we do. What we see is a highly accurate basketball player who can shoot and score, plays very little defense. And now, since he's been injured, he's not taking care of himself. Maybe he's missing a few of the physical therapy sessions. We don't know.
Yeah,
that.
and all that it could be right and fine, but his value still would have been tremendous on the open market, which they never put him out there with. I mean, that's the thing that's baffling. You want to tell me that you're done with the guy and there's a lot of stuff that we don't know and he's not putting full effort into it. Okay, and you're thinking we're not winning a championship with this guy even though we got to the finals with him last year. You want to tell me that because I'm not there? Okay. But what you can't do is engage one basketball team when the coach doesn't know, the players don't know, LeBron didn't know. I mean, the Lakers were probably like, you can't be serious with this.
Let me ask you this. Let's say they call the Knicks.
Yeah.
And they say, we want Karl Anthony Towns. Would you make that trade? Would you make that trade?
The way the Knicks had been playing, no. I mean, that's such a tough one, man. He's so good, but no, I probably wouldn't have done it because I feel like they're good enough right now to win.
Okay.
So, but I mean, in almost any other scenario prior to this team making that final deal for Karl Anthony Towns, I would want Luka Doncic. We were actually talking about it before they got Towns. Like, Doncic could be the guy, reunite him with Jalen Brunson. He could be that last piece.
Remember this, maybe trade him to Boston, but that's right, he can't play with Porzingis because they tried to play down in Dallas, they couldn't play together. I mean, there's more to this than really truly meets the eye, and I know there's a way to look at this by saying you only got this back. I can't believe it. I think the fact that there was $345 million tied to a potential keeping him there, that's a huge number. There's the propensity to get injured, miss a lot of games. That's an issue. There are the physical attributes of Luka Doncic putting on weight and not playing defense. That's all part of it. And then I think the circus would come to town if Harrison says to the NBA and sends out a missive on the NBA email to all of his other GMs that, hey, Luka's available. What do you want? I couldn't even imagine what the three-ring circus around the Mavericks would have been had they done it that way.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can also, at the trade deadline, people are calling, you have some conversations. You got to get other teams involved. It was insane. They could have gotten so much more for Luka Doncic. It's not even, and that's why it feels, this trade, when people said, and a lot of people had the same opinion that, like, David Stern would not have allowed this trade to happen. I actually believe that, because it just does not feel right. And there's been, it just always feels like the NBA is always going to make sure that the Lakers are good no matter what. And that's what this feels like.
I don't know. Harrison and Pelinka are buddies. So this particular move is going to cost, I think, about $115 to $120 million for Luka Doncic. He's not going to be able to sign for the amount of money that the Mavericks could have given him.
Yep. And
it's going to be like $115 or $120 million less. Let's say he signs with the Lakers. I mean, just the amount of taxes and everything, it's insane how much money this guy has just lost within the last 24 hours. He lost a ton load of money for a lot of different reasons. The other aspect of it is I'm thinking Harrison says, look, this kid is off the rails. He needs somebody to get him back on the rails. We like the kid. We really appreciate everything he's done for us. Let me call my buddy Stan Pelinka. Or
Rob
Pelinka. Let me call Rob Pelinka. Hey, Rob, I got this guy, Luka Doncic. He's off the rails. He needs some help. He needs some direction. There's nobody here that's even talking to him that can even save him. Maybe, just maybe, if he plays with LeBron and watches the way that LeBron takes care of himself, maybe you can reactivate him as a great player and you can afford him moving forward when LeBron retires. Is that a possibility? You
No.
think they even had that conversation?
No, I don't know.
No?
I think that he had it with him. He was annoyed, and he did something that was rash and nuts. And it could go down depending on what happens. And maybe this is the wake up call and the smelling salts that Luka Doncic needed. I don't know, but it could go down as one of the worst trades in professional sports history if Luka Doncic is the next great Laker who brings championships there, which is a very real possibility.
If he can get back to being the player he was at the weight he was and doing what he's supposed to be doing, which wasn't the case in the eyes of the Mavericks.
Anthony Davis,
they were going to pay $345 million for a guy that they, I think, have fallen out of favor with.
Once again, though, that's fine if you have decided that you don't want to go forward with him as the centerpiece of your franchise because of all the things you talked about. It's okay. A lot of people would disagree with it, but you just can't make a deal like that with an asset. The rest of the league doesn't look at Luka Doncic like Nico Harrison did. And maybe Luka Doncic goes to L.A. and gets even bigger and is a disaster, and he's Zion Williamson. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think, but that's what they were worried about. Zion Williamson.
But that's what they're worried about.
Maybe he has a lot of those traits, and they don't want to pay
Every other GM in basketball says you make me let it known that Luka Doncic is available. I'm ready to move heaven and earth to get this guy on my team.
You think that the Celtics would trade either Jaylen Brown? Or do you think that
that's a team? But here's the thing. So there's a couple of examples that you've given, which are tough ones. The Celtics won a championship with that group, but there's other teams like the Knicks. I see the Knicks is such a tough one. It really is. But they're on a trajectory right now. There are so many teams that were desperate for a superstar that are in NBA purgatory that we're never going to get out of this because we're not bad enough to get up to the top. We're not good enough to beat these teams. How are we getting the superstar? Well, it can't be Luka. He's going to sign a supermax there, and then he's available. It's like, oh, my God, here, take all my picks. Take the rest of the roster. We're going to get this guy in here. We're going to turn him around and going to build around him, as opposed to in the middle of the night, sending them, overnight FedEx to the Lakers with no one knowing.
Well, I mean, JT Miller got sent FedEx. He was, I think they were down in Dallas when he got sent to the Rangers and arrives 3 o'clock in the morning in Boston and ends up playing. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But I just think I understand the Mavericks' point of view from this just because of the circus that would have developed around all of this had he not pulled the trigger now to get the deal done. I'm not saying that he couldn't have gotten more from other teams. I'm just saying that if they believe that they have half a decent team right now and that they can actually make it to the playoffs, and maybe by adding Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis is healthy, that's going to be the most important thing, because maybe they felt like Kyrie and Luka Doncic couldn't play together. Who knows? I don't know all.
They won the Western Conference.
I know, but I don't know all the inner workings right now at this moment with what that team is going through and what they have witnessed from that player. That's the one thing that we can all just speculate on. Now, most of the guys on ESPN or NBA that are covering this and are talking about it, they're all talking about how he has been out of shape, how he's not been a team leader, how he doesn't play defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's up to 260 pounds. I mean, this is not a player that they're going to invest $345 million in.
Yeah, I know. We're going around in making the same points, but still, you make him available to the rest of the league, you're getting 15 deals that are better than the one you took.
Well, you're also getting a circus, and maybe that's one of the things.
You get the deal done, you can make your team better.
I will say this: the only circus that they have now is just the question of why would you do this? Why would you do it now? And why would you do it so quickly? To me, that just means that they just wanted to they knew internally what the hell was going on. They were probably dealing with his agent and things of that nature in terms of trying to deal with him and trying to go negotiate with him what the future moving forward is. Maybe they offered him a deal to try to save some money.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He didn't mention that, Nico Harrison, in his press conference, but it's just on the surface right now, it's a bad deal, and I'm sure that Nico Harrison is hoping that Luka Doncic goes to L.A. and starts living the Hollywood lifestyle and gets hurt and blows up and has a miserable rest of his career, because if he doesn't and he goes there and his name goes up in the rafters with the great Laker Hall of Famers, then Nico Harrison's name will forever be painted in a negative light as an NBA general manager.